Module 6, where investors go wrong. Super important module. Basically, 50% of investing is knowing what not to do, in which traps not to fall, and basically inversion. Investing with no edge. They have no framework, no strategy. A limited perspective instead of a wide scope. We will introduce Rufus, the anti-investor, the reality that they really are not investors, luck and randomness, modern market challenges, and how the market tests you. So, if you have not worked to develop your framework, your strategy, if you have not created your own edge, then basically you don't know what you're doing. You're just moving blind, trying to catch a break, trying to be lucky. You have no process, no framework, and strategy, as we said. That leads you into random results. They could be positive, they could be negative in the short term. You have not built confidence in yourself as an investor. You do not believe that you can create returns over time. And all this doubt leads you to seek false prophets and fake gurus. This is a quote that Charlie Munger tends to use in one form or another. I call it the law of the instrument, and it may be formulated as follows. Give a small boy a hammer, and he will find that everything he encounters needs pounding. Now, what Charlie Munger says is, to a man with only one hammer, everything looks like a nail. And we will see in the next slide why I mentioned this quote. Limited perspective. So, amateur investors, instead of having a wide scope, they have a limited scope. And this can happen if you over specialize. So you restrict your opportunity set, you restrict your toolbox and your tool set, and you know only a few things, and that causes you to have a narrow scope instead of a wide scope. The same can happen if you become obsessed with your tool set, obsessed with your tactics, and if you fall into the trap of believing that you already know everything, there is nothing else to be learned, I am the best, I am the greatest, and all that. And if you fall into this trap, what happens is your tools and frameworks they become prisons. You become trapped into those modes of thinking. You restrict your upside. You limit your opportunity set. You become blind to most things happening around you. This could happen because you are, to give examples, you only invest in energy, or you only invest in technology even, or you only buy the dips when the index has dropped 30%, or you only try to buy all-time highs because somehow you are convinced that this is the way to go, nothing else works. You only invest in crypto or even real estate. So this becomes dogmatic, and you start to treat investing as a religion. And we don't want this to happen. But this is the psychology of humans. This is how we behave. And in many cases, the extreme version of this is cult stocks, cult CEOs, cult founders. Many investors try to solve their financial problems or to find a path to making returns by embracing cults, and they become extremely loyal to this cult. They do not question anything, they ignore the fundamentals, they focus on a false narrative over the fundamentals. And this simply happens because they drank the Kool-Aid, and it's very hard to convince them out of this. Maybe they make money in the short term, maybe it works out, but in the end, we will see in the next slides how their luck will turn. The point is, you want a wide scope. As opposed to a limited one. Now this is Rufus. Rufus, the anti-investor. Basically, Rufus is the opposite of Philo, the wise owl. As you can see, I chose a monkey to depict Rufus because monkeys like to jump from branch to branch, and you can see here Rufus is holding onto a branch, but pretty soon this arm is going to catch another branch, and so on and so on. So use this as an analogy to how Rufus jumps from one opportunity to the other. Maybe it's not even an opportunity, from one stock to the other, from one trade to the other, and in the end, he doesn't really do much. How does Rufus approach investing? What does he actually do? First, instead of focusing on the process over the actual outcome, he does the opposite. Basically, he has no process. He focuses on the result. Is the stock up or is the stock down? This is an example of how basic and linear and superficial he is as an investor. He doesn't think twice. He does not use higher level thinking, as we taught in the preceding modules of this course. He is only surface level and first level. In addition, Rufus is driven by FOMO. He is driven by his emotions. He is driven by fear of missing out and fear in general. Rufus has no edge. He has no framework, no strategy. He doesn't have in his head a way that he approaches investing. He does not know what he's doing. Maybe his friend called him up and told him about a certain stock. Maybe he read about it in the news. Maybe he scrolls X looking for what others are saying. He follows fake gurus, false prophets, and whatever they say, he tries to copy them in a way so that he can make money too. Rufus conflates luck with skill. So if Rufus bought a stock at 100 and then all of a sudden it's at 400 or 300, Rufus will pat himself on the back. He will applaud himself. He will tell all his friends that he is the smartest, the most intelligent. He could see exactly what was about to happen. He knew Rufus thinks he knew what was going to happen. And now, all of a sudden, Rufus becomes delusional about his skill set, and that leads to further problems. Wait for the next slides. And finally,